Lethal Secrets, Confluence, Episode 16, Fair Play and Farewell. Derek entered the vendatory compound and plopped 3 sacks of silver on their counter after rasping the name, Saints. The merchants referenced the name with small slips of paper tacked on cubby walls behind the counter. Derek sucked in a long inhale and sniffed a familiar scent. Yesterday, this facility reeked of ilk like Sherivas and Callum. But this morning, the scent faintly lingered. The merchants dropped the satchel of Derek's goods on the counter and welcomed him as an acquaintance of a very reliable connection.
"Juggernaut at 9 a.m.,
murmured Derek as he darted through the crowds to slip onto the trolley. On his return, he rendezvoused with the rest and preempted Ada of a last-minute meet with some newcomers who anxiously clamored to locate Daedamia. Ada, paranoid and endangered, fled to evade her would-be captors, and Anna scrambled closely behind. Derek warned Valerian that the two scampered off, but Valerian urged everyone to not leave Violetta idling away in her dormitory lab. Splitting efforts, Valerian took Dinah and Sharivas to grab the student and trot toward the temper gate, while Derek took Callum and the newly arrived Dracolites on the hunt for the disappeared Ada and Anna. Anna spotted her pursuers and darted down an alley with Ada nowhere in sight. Derek dotted past Anna, hot on the heels of Ada, and followed the rogue's trail to the flat of a wall. Everything of Ada evaporated, and the trail went cold with not a hint of her in sight. Derek pled with the absent Ada that she would be safe, but was met with a humbling silence. The third dragonkin advanced and let down their hood. It sniffed with its serpentine snout, towering at 7 feet, and shimmered with a citrine carapace.
"I cannot see her."
The examination finishes and the rest of the party passes through the gate, with Valerian marching the caravan forward. The Dracolites reunite with Derek and soon see Callum and Dinah tarrying behind. Derek, surrendering his hunt after losing sight of them, turns to see where the dragonkin will head from here, but the citrine Dracolite's eyes shine like sundrops and points toward the hill where they absconded from their scaled hunters. When Derek and Callum crest the peak, they spot Anna and Ada racing back to the caravan to take off. Callum lunges in front of the wagon and charges toward the horses to block their advance. Confused, Callum asks for clarity.
"Why are people running? Why has this escalated?"
Anna draws her maul and prepares to protect Ada, believing her pursuers mean her harm. Ada sees Sherivas from beneath the wagon and asks him to free her as she once freed him. Callum returns to Sherivas and sits until Derek and Ada find common ground with each other and a blindsided Valerian with a protective Anna. They learn that the dragonkin seeks information on Daedamia to secure some culturally significant relics, some religiously revered treasures of the Moonburst throne. Sherivas, owing a life debt to Ada, promises that she will not be taken. Callum reassures her the same, and an armistice is had. Ada divulges that she knows nothing of Daedamia's whereabouts, and fishes to confirm what they're seeking. The dragonkin snap into silence, hoping to avoid an infraction. Desperate to connect its significance to foreigners, Leary confessed that 3 hearts of high dragons were stolen. 1 red, 1 yellow, 1 blue. Feeling as though they missed their mark by a hair, they resigned and thanked Derek as he marched them back to the gate. They gifted Derek a sack with 3 distinct coins in each one. The crew reunited and headed northward as the temperature dropped to 20 Celsius. A rough argument ensued as Ada snapped at Derek. Derek presented a chest he found in some abject part of Neronia and revealed a steel-thumping heart, glowing a dull yellow that softly cast a reflective bend. Ada divulged that within her beats a glowing heart of blue sapphire, and that the dragonkin would murder her to harvest their relic and return home. She expressed confusion as to how, why, and if Damia would even risk certain death, unforgivable grudges, and relentless pursuits just to steal 3 hearts and stash 1 in her daughter. Why her procedure resembled that of Lyre, and how Lyre's curse and Derek's curse shared some genetically arcane ritualistic base, and how similar operations were performed and studied by some elusive scholar and scientist known as the Heartificer. Derek, apologetic for what he triggered in Ada, gifted her his father's mantle in hopes to safeguard her life. They each took watch, with Anna and Ada tucking in, Derek and Valerian taking first watch before stepping far into the woods before testing each other's strength in a violent scrimmage to best the other. Refreshed, they both laughed before returning to their posts behind a snacking audience of Sharivas and Callum. Some vivid dream seized Derek while he rested, and he dashed through the woods as soon as he woke, returning minutes later with tears streaming down his face before forcing himself back to sleep.